Hey, this is Brandon Steele. Welcome to the Mainsail Financial Group Podcast series, where we host industry experts to kind of share their area of expertise, kind of provide some knowledge into the areas that they focus on day to day. Today, we want to thank Martha Shedden for joining us to discuss Social Security and really everything you need to know to help make the most informed decisions you can around the Social Security program and benefits. Martha is extremely passionate about educating financial advisors, baby boomers, really everybody, I think it's fair to say, about Social Security choices and how you can really make the most of what options you have out there. She is president and co-founder of National Association of Registered Social Security Analysts. I hope I got that right, Martha. And actually has quite an engineering background as well, kind of allowing her for this perfect blend of things to really provide perspective and give you the best information at a detailed level. So really excited to have you on and kind of pick your brain here a little bit on the Social Security benefits.
Well, thank you so much, Brandon, for having me. I'm really going to enjoy this.
Yeah, of course. And I think so I think I'll start there because I know how much you enjoy Social Security and you're passionate around educating people for what's out there. And so I wanted to maybe ask you, where does your passion come from, or, why is Social Security so important to you?
Well, because I was, like you mentioned, I was working as a civil engineer back in 2011, a decade ago, and I was asked by a local financial advisor if I wanted to help him on develop a program to educate financial advisors on the topic. And I had totally dismissed Social Security. I wasn't even counting on it in my retirement planning. I don't know why. I think it's just that myth that it won't be there, or it's not that much money. And when you see the monthly amount, sometimes you can think that. But anyway, I was quickly just shocked at what I didn't know, how complicated the rules were and confusing. And I just wanted to figure it out. I could not stand not understanding it. And so I just started diving in, and I taught myself, and then I started teaching. I had the opportunity to teach a basic Social Security course online for continuing education. And you need to know your stuff if you're going to teach it. So that helped. And then I decided to start my own business. But first I became a chartered retirement planning counselor because I did want that background in retirement planning. And so I started my own business in 2015, Shedden Social Security Retirement Planning. I just started offering my services, helping people with their claiming decision using top-notch software. And I was amazed. I wasn't surprised because I had done a focus group with a lot of people, and I knew how much people didn't understand and how grateful they were to learn. And so I would have not just local people, but people found me somehow online across the country. And I'm so passionate about it. So from there, I met my business partner, Michael Rosedale, in 2017, and we started NARSSA.
Okay.
And here I am today.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it's good to mention to your background in retirement planning and education around that, because I'm going to ask you some questions about, how these things fit together too. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Before we kind of jump into the meat of it, can you share with me, you mentioned, in kind of your background there, that you had felt like it might not be there for you. Can you share with me like your perspective on its viability and, how, I guess how long it might last and maybe some solutions to the problem?
Yeah, I am naturally tending to be an optimist for one thing, but especially because as I created the courses that our NARSSA program is comprised of, I really delved into the history of the program. And when you look at the history and all the different changes and amendments that have been made over the years, specifically the 1983 Bipartisan Budget Act, that included many different facets of Social Security that were changed or set up at that time. And that got us to here, to 2021 and all the way through 2035, before we would have to go back to a pay as you go system. So I'm just convinced I cannot see the American retiree population allowing Social Security to not be fixed, and if not even that, improved. And I'm hoping it happens before 2033 and 34. But I know when it does happen, when the rules change, that there's going to be a big need for people to understand those changes.
Sure. Yeah. If you had that ability to make some of those changes, do you have some ideas on what you might do?
Well, the first thing on the top of my head is that I don't think we should have a maximum taxable earnings. I think that, like Medicare, that all earnings should be taxed for FICA, for Social Security and Medicare. And that limit is at, this year, I was just looking at that, I think it's at about 142,800. And I know that when the maximum taxable earnings were set up, that was meant to cover 90% of workers. And now this 142,800 covers much less, probably 80%, or 85 maybe. So even if it was adjusted for that, it just hasn't gone up in the same amount that wages have gone up. So that's one thing. I'm not adverse to raising the retirement age over a long period. When it was raised from 66 to 67, it involved people who were only 20 years old at that time. So I could see that because longevity is longer. But there's a lot of other smaller pieces of the program that, if combined, their resulting cumulative effect could extend it for many years to come.
Okay, that's helpful. That's some good insight. Can you maybe share? So can you explain, I guess, why we should care so much about Social Security? You brought it up earlier that even yourself early on kind of felt like it was just this smaller thing and may not have an impact. Can you talk about why Social Security is so important in retirement planning and the rest of the picture?
Yes, it is. For the majority of people, it is their largest retirement asset. And that's what I didn't understand, because I was looking at the monthly amounts. So the average worker, this year gets about $1,540 a month. If you multiply that by 12 months and say 25 years, because you want to plan to your maximum life expectancy. You don't want to have that longevity risk. So I'm using 25. That adds up to $462,000. And most people don't have another asset that big. And then at the extreme, the highest, if someone had earned the highest earnings all through their top 35 years or earnings that are used to calculate the benefit, their amount at full retirement age would be about $3,150. And if they waited to claim till 70, it would go up almost 32%. And just by 20 years life expectancy to 90 perhaps, that's $982,000. So for couples, it can be in the millions, but even for singles, it's $300,000 to $400,000, even on the low end if they claim early.
Yeah, it's definitely significant. It's interesting to hear the difference too when you take it early versus, delaying it. How much of a difference that can make.
Yes.
Can you talk to that end a little bit? So, choices around when to take Social Security and how it plays into other assets and other choices that you have as a retiree?
Yes, it shouldn't, the decision of when to claim your Social Security shouldn't be done in a vacuum. They should be talking with someone like you, Brandon, that understands the value of Social Security, but can also help their clients plan for that withdrawal amounts from which accounts, in what order, what sequence and amount, because the taxation issue plays in here. Social Security benefits can be taxed, and that is based on your adjusted gross income and some other factors. Half of your Social Security is used in the calculation. So Social Security is given a tax preference when calculating the tax on it. And it's also only up to 85% of your benefit can be taxed. So the interaction between claiming Social Security and bridging that gap to wait to claim later, because the difference between claiming at 62 and full retirement age is 25 to 30% more. The difference to waiting all the way to 70 is 76% increase. So if you can bridge that gap of income for those years with funds from retirement accounts that will be 100% taxable when RMDs are required, you're going to end up on the plus side with more Social Security income, possibly less taxation, and you'll have a plan for when to use what money when.
Yeah, I think that taxation part's super important. You brought it up. We talk a lot about, for folks who are retiring earlier, have the funds to bridge that gap, to getting that money out early too, when you're at a lower income, just reduces your RMDs, reduces your taxes through your life. Like there's some advantages for sure in looking at that all together. So that's good.
Yeah.
Do you, what would you say are some of the most commonly missed concepts or strategies when it comes to Social Security?
Well, the first on my list is just purely being informed on the rules that apply to your situation. So many people talk to their neighbor, their family, their friends, and they think they have it figured out, but they're not the same. I've been doing analyses for 6 years, and I've never had 2 cases that are the same. So that's, that includes married, single, divorced, widowed. Do you collecting a pension? You have minor or adult children? Is your spouse significantly younger, older than you? Are you still working? Because you could be subject to the earnings test if you start collecting benefits and we're still working. And I've already mentioned not realizing the money at stake and thinking of it as an asset. Claiming too early, I will put this in though, if you claim too early and you later learn that you made a mistake, you can do 2 things. First of all, if you have started collecting in the last 12 months, you can do what's called withdrawing your application. And by doing that, you get to wipe the slate clean and start over. Now you have to pay back any benefits you've collected, but no interest on that. But then you get to start over and collect later at full retirement age 70. So that's something really important. I first ask clients when I talk to them, have you started collecting and when? And then if you've already gone past the 12 months at their full retirement age, which is between 66 and 67, all retirees are allowed to suspend their benefit. And that just means Social Security stops paying it, and it starts to grow with delayed retirement credits at 8% a year. And that's a monthly increase, not an annual. So every month that you have them suspended, it's going to grow, and it is going to grow from 24 to 32% by age 70.
Yeah, that's good. And can you repeat that period of time just to make sure people have that in their head?
Oh, well, how much it will grow?
No, yeah. Sorry, the period where you can take back your.
Okay. Yep. So first of all, the withdraw the application is in the first 12 months, and that's payback and start over. And then if you go past the 12 months and you reach full retirement age, your financial circumstances have changed, you went back to work for whatever reason. If you can afford to, you can suspend the benefit, and full retirement age is 66 to 67. So for someone suspending at 66 and starting at 70, it's going to go up 32%, 4 times 8, and 67 to 73 times 8, so 24%. That's a big increase. It basically resets them back at their full retirement age benefit.
That's great. That's super helpful.
Yeah.
So it's kind of along those lines. I was going to ask you a little bit about some folks may still have this available, some may not, but you may know that, there's this opportunity where if you're married, you could take the spouse's benefit and file yours later and, kind of play that game. Can you talk to that a little bit and share, how that has changed semi-recently?
Yes. And that's a tricky one to describe because first of all, everyone should know that when you apply for Social Security, you're applying for all the various benefits that you might be eligible for, your own retirement, a spousal benefit, or a survivor benefit. You're deemed to be filing for all of those, and you only get the higher amount of any of them. But prior to 2015, there was a strategy called file a restricted application, and that is being phased out. It only applies to people who were 62 by the end of 2015, so born in 1953. Now those folks are, help me out here. 50.
So I think that would be 68, 69, right? So we really only have a year or two left of that. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. So there are 2 years left. Yeah. So if you do come across someone who's 68 and is married, has not yet started claiming, they are able to file this restricted application, claim a lower spousal benefit, which otherwise you wouldn't be able to do, and then switch at 70 to their own retirement benefit. So they would get some money in the 2 intervening years based on the spousal benefit, and then they would be able to get that higher amount. Now, the spouse that doesn't do the restricted application has to be claiming their retirement benefit to do that.
Yeah, that's super good. And even somebody, I have a client actually that we helped out recently with this. They had filed at 62 and now they're, full retirement age. So even somebody who had filed before, as long as it was done right, Martha, can still take advantage of this.
Yeah, so if they suspend and restart, I believe you're right. I have not had a client case like that, but it is available to those who were born in 1953 or before.
Cool. Yeah, that's really helpful. I think that gets missed a lot, and obviously we're almost out of time here for that, but it is important to note if you're in that age range anyway. So, obviously you are always educating folks on Social Security. So whether it's educating advisors or educating clients, maybe it's a different answer. Where do you typically start on helping that education process with the ins and outs around Social Security?
Well, I've done many presentations and prepared many PowerPoints, and I start by describing the critical terms like full retirement age. What is your full retirement age? PIA, that's the primary insurance amount that you collect at your full retirement age. It's lower if you collect before, it's higher if you wait. I talk about, I think I address it the same way, Brandon, whether it's consumers or financial advisors, because so many financial advisors are just as uninformed as consumers. Mm-hmm. But with a little different twist, because I'm trying to show them how valuable it is to be educated on this to help their clients. It's just a awesome service to add and to help people with. So I go through the basic terms, how your benefits are calculated using your highest 35 years, I talk about spousal survivor benefits, divorced ex-spousal and ex-survivor. So what happens is by highlighting some of these rules, people come to realize what they don't know, and they don't even know what questions they should ask, but now they do, because if you show them, then they think, oh, well, in my case, I should be checking this. So it's a wonderful experience to present to people, because you get that instant feedback and interaction between people, learning from each other even. So it's really rewarding to do that.
Yeah, that's good. And I want to, you mentioned that a lot of advisors may not necessarily know the ropes around this, or may not even care to, I guess. We do have some advisors that listen to this. So can you talk to why advisors should be focused on this, and why this is important to help their clients through?
Yes, well, there's statistics out there. I think it's like, well, first of all, many of us baby boomers managed our own finances, and but all retirees want help with their Social Security. And so when someone is looking for someone that knows Social Security, that specialization as a financial advisor is going to really make you stand out. And they will come to you for that. And it's such a value and such a trusting service to help them with. It's a extremely large financial decision you're helping them with. And so folks that don't have a financial advisor, the financial advisor has the opportunity to say, I can really help you with your retirement, which accounts to use first, that whole retirement plan. It's very different than what we've all been doing by saving and investing. Now we have to start using that money, and it's scary. And so there's an opportunity there for our financial advisors to talk to people who don't have a financial advisor. For those who do have financial advisors, they are likely to leave, and there's statistics on this, to leave their advisor if they find one that knows Social Security. And it's not a big percentage right now. We're aiming to change that. But so I think you could really be losing out on a lot if you don't understand it.
Yeah. I think to me, like, if I'm being honest, I think it's kind of crazy to me that is not part of the conversation. I mean, to your point, you're making this big financial decision, and I would imagine that would be why somebody would be hired. So so I hear you 100%.
Yeah, I know you get it. It's really fun to talk to you, Brandon.
Well, thank you. I think maybe that's a good place to kind of start wrapping up too. But is there anything else, anything that maybe we missed, anything that I think that you think would be really important to address?
One thing I like to, there's two things actually. People should think about their maximum age of life. Don't plan for the average age of life for your gender and your age. Think of your own personal situation, and you don't want to run out of money. So overestimate a little bit. Plan for that horizon. The second thing is survivor benefits are often overlooked and underclaimed. In other words, they aren't claimed in the correct way many, many times. They need to be claimed in person or on the phone. You can't do it online. So recently we've had many, many clients. And then it's also, they need to get their husband's amount. So it's a little more difficult. So it's very rewarding to help those clients. And so those of you who have lost a spouse, there's very special rules around survivor benefits. You can start at 60. If you haven't, if you don't remarry till after 60, you can still collect that previous husband's amount. So that's just a big heads up for that.
Yeah, that's good. There's so much with the spousal benefits, survivor benefits, all that stuff that's really important. So
Yeah.
that's good. Okay, well, I think we'll wrap up there then. Thank you so much, Martha, for joining us today. I think that was really helpful. So really appreciate your time and sharing some thoughts.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. You have a good day.